Do you feel like every day is an endless struggle? You fight against your boss, your family, everyone around you? Well, let Alaric tell you a secret. There's no one else in this battle. It's not the world against you. Your enemy is not your noisy neighbor, nor the slow internet connection. No, my friend, it's you against yourself. The only enemy you must defeat is that voice that whispers, "You can't. You're not enough." It's that person you see every morning in the mirror and who looks back with contempt, with doubt, with fear. And how do you win that battle? My friend, every decision, every action, every thought is a blow in this fight. And there are only two paths: to be your own master, or to be a slave to your fears. Stoicism taught us that the greatest battle we fight is not against the world, but against our own minds. Discipline over doubt, action over excuse. That's how you regain faith in yourself. Today, I'll teach you how the Stoics trained their minds like a muscle until they became unstoppable. Are you ready to regain faith in yourself? Stay with me until the end, and you'll discover what you're capable of. Let's begin. But first, let Alaric tell you a story that will make you understand that the greatest battle you'll fight in your life is not against the world, but against yourself. This is the story of Thomas, a blacksmith who had dedicated his life to fire and metal. For over 30 years, his hammer had struck the anvil, molding tools, horseshoes, and swords. But what no one knew is that although his work was to forge iron, his mind broke a little more each day. Fear silently consumed him. Fear that his trade would disappear, that no one would need what he made anymore. Fewer and fewer customers came to his workshop. People preferred to buy tools produced in factories. Fear that his hands were no longer as steady as before, that age would turn him into a hindrance. Each day, it was harder to lift the hammer, heavier the metal, more exhausting the routine. Fear of being left behind, of becoming invisible, of being replaced. But the worst was that voice in his head, the one that told him it was no longer worth trying, that the world was changing, and he couldn't change with it, that his end was already written, that his time was running out. And so, without realizing it, Thomas stopped trying. His workshop remained open, but his spirit was closed. Every order was a reminder of what he no longer was. Every blow on the anvil sounded like defeat. Until one day, something happened that completely shook him. As he walked through the market, he saw an old man sharpening knives at a makeshift stall. His wrinkled but firm hands worked with enviable precision. Thomas, consumed by doubt, approached him and asked, "Master, how do you keep doing this after so many years?" The old man looked up and smiled before replying, "A long time ago, I understood something that many don't see. The mind is forged just like iron. If you don't work it, it rusts. If you don't confront it, it weakens. It's not age or circumstances or luck that stops you. It's yourself. Thomas nodded in silence, but something inside him was still unconvinced. He looked at the knives the old man was sharpening and felt that the question in his head had to come out. But nowadays, knives are sold everywhere. Everyone buys them ready-made. Don't you fear that someday no one will need you anymore? The old man looked at him calmly, sharpening the last knife before answering, his voice firm but serene. Knives are what I do now, but it's not the only thing I know how to do. I've been earning my living with my hands all my life, and I trust that I will continue to do so in one way or another. What I know is worth more than any tool, and as long as I have the will, I will always find a way to move forward. Thomas felt those words burn him more than the fire of his forge. What a lesson he just gave me, he thought. That night, he couldn't sleep. He thought about all the times he had let doubt dominate him, about all the fears that had turned his life into an invisible cage. And then he understood. He couldn't keep waiting for something external to rescue him. He was his own enemy, but he was also his only solution. The next morning, he did something he hadn't done in years. He lit the forge with determination. Instead of limiting himself to the same old jobs, he began to innovate. He tried new designs, learned modern techniques. He went to town to talk to merchants and discovered that people were looking for unique, personalized pieces, elaborations, things that factories couldn't make. He started offering different products, artisanal tools with unique details. He stopped seeing his age as a limitation and turned it into his greatest advantage. His experience, his skill, his history were his greatest strength. And little by little, the fears faded, like iron when immersed in cold water. And you, my friend, how many times have you let your mind stop you? How many times have you listened to that voice that tells you, you can't, you shouldn't, it's too late? Do you realize that you, and only you, are your only enemy? Today, you will learn how the Stoics forged an unshakable mindset, how they trained their minds to resist doubt, fear, and self-pity. Because the true battle is not against the world, but against your own mind. But my friend, if you stay with me today, that changes. The enemy is not out there. I'm sure you've fallen into that trap. The trap of looking for the enemy out there. You look around and you think the problem is the world, that if circumstances were different, that if the people around you were more understanding, that if luck were on your side. Enough. Let Alaric tell you something. Your worst enemy is not out there. It's inside you. And if you don't realize this, you'll keep losing the battle every day. The mind is a double-edged sword. It can be your most powerful ally, or the executioner that sabotages every one of your moves. It's that inner voice that holds you back, that fills you with doubts, that makes you question if you're really capable. It's not your boss. It's not society. It's not your past. It's you. And you know what's good? You can use that to your advantage. Do you think Marcus Aurelius, in the midst of war, told himself, "I'm just unlucky. The world is unfair. People don't respect me"? No, of course not. He understood that the only real power we have is over our minds. That's why he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But most people do the opposite. They blame fate, their childhood, the economy, the neighbor's barking dog. And so they condemn themselves to live in a keyless cage because they never confront the true enemy, themselves. Imagine two soldiers in the same battle. Both face hunger, cold, and exhaustion. One repeats to himself, "This is unbearable. I can't take it anymore. Why me?" The other thinks, "This is a test, an opportunity to show my strength. I'm going to keep moving forward." Both live the same reality, but their minds create completely different worlds. The same thing happens to you. It's not the situation that defeats you, but the story you tell yourself about it. The problem is not the obstacle, but your reaction. And this is something the Stoics understood perfectly. Whoever masters their mind masters their life. Every time you think, "I can't," every time you tell yourself it's too hard, every time you procrastinate, every time you doubt, you are weakening yourself. You are becoming your own worst enemy. Ask yourself this right now. If your mind were a person, would you see it as your best ally or your worst enemy? Because if every time you want to improve, that voice tells you, "You're not good enough. It's too late for you. And what if you fail?" Then you are living with an enemy that drags you into the abyss day after day. But don't panic. Here comes the solution. Start by questioning every negative thought. Don't accept every idea as an absolute truth. Ask yourself, is this real or just fear disguised as logic? Another infallible trick. Don't stop to negotiate with doubt. Every second you spend doubting is a lost second. Do what you have to do, without giving your mind time to convince you otherwise. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And speaking of powerful words, tell Alaric, how do you talk to yourself? Talk to yourself like a leader, and you will become one. You wouldn't talk to your best friend with contempt and demotivation, right? Then why do you do it to yourself? Change it. Talk to yourself with respect and determination. Stoicism is not about eliminating emotions, but about training your mind so it doesn't control you. So that when fear and doubt appear, you can look them in the face and still keep moving forward anyway. Because at the end of the day, my friend, There is no enemy more dangerous than the one who lives in your head. But now you know the great secret of the Stoics. If you master it, it will go from being your worst enemy to being your best ally. The second lesson: fear paralyzes, action liberates. Imagine you look at your phone and there it is. A missed call from your boss and a message that says, "Urgent, we need to talk." You feel a knot in your stomach. Your mind goes into panic. What have I done wrong? I'm sure I'm going to lose my job. How will I support my family? You can't help but imagine all the worst-case scenarios, and anxiety starts to rise. Minutes pass, and you still don't respond. Every second you wait, the fear grows. But in the end, when you decide to call back, surprise! It was nothing bad at all. They just needed your opinion before making a relevant decision. Do you realize? The only thing that was happening is that your boss considers you important. All that stress, all that mental drama, for nothing. Once again, there was nothing or no one against you. Just you against yourself. Let's be honest. The worst part is that this is not an isolated incident. It wasn't just this time, nor will it be the last. We fall into this fear trap again and again. We do it when we avoid that difficult conversation, when we procrastinate on an important decision, when we hold ourselves back before doing something we truly want. Our brain convinces us that there's danger, when in reality, the only thing there is uncertainty. And my friend, that was fine in the savannah, when we were Neanderthals, and lions were coming for us. But today we don't live among predators, and yet fear paralyzes us for any unforeseen event. And yes, I know what you're going to say. We're human. We're wired that way. And you're right. But that's no excuse to keep succumbing to fear again and again. Scientists at Columbia University discovered that when we don't know what's going to happen, our brain activates the amygdala, the region that manages fear and anxiety. The more uncertainty, the more we create catastrophic stories in our head. The problem is not fear, it's the waiting. But there's something more. The study also showed that as soon as we take action, the brain changes focus. It's as if Seneca wrote, "Fear makes us suffer for things that have not even happened. Anticipation kills us more than reality itself." Imagine you never rode a bicycle. You're afraid of falling, scraping yourself, looking ridiculous. But you know there's no other way to learn. You get on, you pedal, and guess what? You fall. Oh, what a drama, right? Well, of course not, my friend. The drama would have been if you had remained paralyzed without daring. Now you've fallen, the worst has happened, and you've realized that it's not that bad. You've realized that fear was just mental noise. How many times have you stopped just before acting for fear of what might happen? And how many of those times, when you finally did it, Did you realize that it wasn't that big of a deal? That's how fear works. The longer you feed it, the more it dominates you. But as soon as you act, it collapses like a house of cards. But Alaric knows it's difficult. So here's the action plan against fear. First, use a countdown. When fear appears, don't give it time to paralyze you. 3, 2, 1, and act. Second trick, micro actions. Practice in front of the mirror. Divide the fear into small steps. And the jewel in the crown, rewrite the story that fear tells you. When your mind says, "This is going to go wrong," change it to, "This is an opportunity to improve." Alaric knows these are simple tips, but trust me, they are effective. Fear, like everything in life, is overcome step by step, day by day, action after action. The third lesson: defeat the monster of doubt. How many opportunities have you let slip away just because your own mind convinced you that you weren't capable? How many times have you been one step away from trying, from taking that leap that could change everything, but at the last moment, that voice in your head stopped you? What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if others judge me? Enough. That ends today, my friend. Doubt is a monster. It doesn't live in the real world, but in your head. And like any monster, it feeds on your fear, on your inaction, on every moment you decide not to confront it. Imagine yourself in front of a big golden door. You know that behind it is an incredible opportunity. The promotion you've always wanted. The project that would change your life. The person you dream of talking to. But just before opening it, you see a shadowy guardian standing in front of you. He's not real, but his presence is immense. He tells you that you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that if you fail, you'll regret it. You listen, you doubt, you retreat, and the door never opens. What a shame. Let Alaric tell you the story of someone I knew a long time ago, and who knows very well what I'm talking about. A guy who had an incredible opportunity in his hands. His first big promotion at work. He had spent years striving, demonstrating his ability, preparing for the moment to move up a level. And one day, his big opportunity finally arrived. His boss called him to his office and made the proposal. "We want you to lead a new team. You've shown you have what it takes." It was what he had always wanted. The moment he had imagined so many times. But instead of accepting instantly, doubt appeared. First, you're not ready. What if I fail and disappoint everyone? Are you sure you want so much responsibility? So instead of saying yes, he wanted to think about it a bit more. He wanted to make sure he wasn't wrong, that everything fit perfectly, before taking the step. And while he thought, the company waited. At first they were patient, giving him a few days to make a decision. But those days passed, and then a week, and he still didn't give a clear answer. It's not that he had said no, but he hadn't said yes either. And a company cannot keep waiting forever. And since he never decided, they had to make the decision for him. They gave the position to someone else. When he finally gathered the courage to accept, it was already too late. The opportunity he had waited years for had vanished in a matter of days. And it wasn't because he wasn't good enough. Of course not. It was because he doubted himself until there was nothing left to decide. I must confess, my friend, that insecure guy is me. I defeated myself. It wasn't the world, or the competition, or bad luck. It was me, my own mind, my own doubt, the enemy that lives inside me. I tell you this old story, this hard experience, not to make you feel sorry for me, but so that you don't make the same mistake, so that you stop being the obstacle that separates you from the life you want. As they say, learning from your own mistakes is good, but learning from others' mistakes is another level. The Stoics knew that doubt is the silent enemy of action. Many times, it is not a lack of ability that destroys a person, but a lack of self-confidence. Marcus Aurelius made it clear in his Meditations. If it is within your power, why do you fear? If it is not within your power, why do you worry? My friend, don't worry about what you cannot control. But above all, don't doubt what you can do. The only way to defeat the monster of doubt is to move before it grows. That's how I got rid of that voice that paralyzed me. That's how I learned not to fail myself again. Let Alaric tell you two things that worked more than anything else. Don't give doubt time to strengthen. If you think too much, you'll lose. When opportunity appears, count to 3 and take the step. Don't give yourself the luxury of getting trapped in your mind. And once you decide, simply act, even when you don't feel ready, because you'll never feel completely ready. Fear is not overcome by overthinking or shouting. It only disappears when you go through it. And believe me, once you take the first step, half the battle is already won. My friend, from the bottom of my heart, I beg you, don't let yourself steal what you deserve. Don't lose another battle against yourself. The fourth lesson. You are not what you say, you are what you do. If someone were to follow your steps for a month, someone who doesn't know you, who has never heard of you, could they guess who you really are? Could they know what your goals are, your deepest values? Or would they discover that what you say and what you actually do are two completely different things? It's a strange question, I know, but take a moment to think about it. We all know someone who always talks about themselves, about the plans they have, about the changes they're about to make in their life. But months pass, years pass, and they remain in the same place. Words are easy. Actions are what truly build who you are. Imagine someone tells you they are a writer, but has never written a single book. That they are an entrepreneur, but has never launched a business. That they are disciplined, but hasn't woken up early even once in the last month. What would you think of that person? The problem is that many people confuse intention with identity. And Alaric will tell you something clear. You are not what you say, not even what you think. You are what you demonstrate with your actions, day after day. And it's not just a matter of values, it's science. A study by New York University showed that the brain, in the short term, rewards intention more than action. When you talk about what you will do with enthusiasm, dopamine is released in the same way as if you had already achieved it. That is, just by saying it, you already feel the reward, even if you do nothing. That's why there are people who live on plans, on ideas, on speeches about the future, but never get to concretize anything. It's like someone buying all the tools to build a house, studying the blueprints, and telling everyone how their future mansion will look, but never laying the first brick. Yes, at first their brain rewards them. It's the fleeting magic of dopamine. By thinking about it, they already feel it as real. But what happens next? Nothing. The void. Disappointment with oneself. Years later, the house is still just an idea in their head because they never crossed the line between what they said and what they did. But the Stoics already knew this, long before science confirmed it. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't talk about discipline. Wake up early. Don't talk about changing your life. Make the first change. Don't talk about your dreams. Work for them." Because in the end, life doesn't measure you by your words, but by your actions. A tree is not defined by the leaves it promises, but by the fruits it bears. And if you think about it, no one can say a tree is strong until it withstands a storm. Now tell Alaric, how many times have you fallen into that trap? How many times have you felt like you're moving forward just because you've planned it, because you've talked about it with someone, because you've said you'll do it? But in the end, you did nothing to back up your own promises? My friend, it's time to stop promising yourself what you'll never give yourself. It's time to stop tripping yourself up. If you don't want it to happen again, there are two things that can change everything. Act before you speak. If you want to exercise, train first and then tell about it. If you want to start a project, do it before you share it. Build habits, not intentions. Habits, that divine tool to build the life you desire. Don't think about what you'll do someday. Decide what you'll do today and do it. Because at the end of the day, you are not what you say you'll do. You are what you did, while others were still talking. The fifth lesson: dare even if you don't have clarity. The world doesn't wait for the indecisive. Opportunities don't knock twice. They don't stop to ask if you feel ready. They don't wait for everything to fit perfectly in your head. They just pass. And if you don't take them, someone else will. You don't need more certainties. You need to dare. Surely you have that relative who always wanted to start their own business. They talk with emotion. They research. They plan, but never decide. There's always something stopping them. I'm not good enough yet. Maybe not the right time. Perhaps next year. They tell you again at Christmas dinners. In months, years go by. Their dream stays in their head. Or that friend who dreams of moving to a new city, starting over, meeting new people, building a new life. But every time, they find a reason to stay. What if I can't find a job? I don't know anyone there. And you, while they talk, all you hear is blah, blah, blah. Excuses. And the next year, it's the same story. Nothing has changed. Now Alaric asks you, what about you? Maybe it's the same. Maybe fear has you tied down. Maybe it's stopping you from chasing that dream. Because let's be honest, it's easy to see fear in others, but hard to recognize in ourselves. We like to believe clarity comes first, that one day we'll wake up with absolute certainty that it's time. But life doesn't work that way. Marcus Aurelius said it best. If you wait to always do the right thing, you will lose many opportunities to do something. Want another Stoic voice? Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Live it." The same applies to life. Don't say, "I'll do it when everything aligns." Don't wait for the perfect moment. Act. That's how you get your answers. But here's the hard truth. No one is blocking your path. Not a lack of opportunity. Not the people around you. Not fate. It's you. Your fear. Your indecision. Your obsession with clarity. You are your own enemy. And the only way to win is to dare, to trust yourself, even when things aren't clear. And no, Alaric isn't telling you to do something crazy. If you fear heights, you don't need to skydive. Take small steps. If you want a new job, send just one application. Want to learn a language? Learn 10 words today. You don't need the whole path to begin the journey. Picture a runner in thick fog. He can't see the finish line, but he can see the next step. So he keeps going. If indecision is weighing you down, set a decision deadline. The mind loves excuses. If you don't limit it, it'll delay forever. Keep it simple. Small choice? Give it an hour. Big decision? Give it 24 hours. Be fair, but don't give your mind unlimited time to invent fears. The only difference between those who do and those who don't, it's not clarity, it's courage. The successful ones dared before they were sure. My friend, as Seneca said, it is not that we don't dare because things are difficult. It's that things are difficult because we don't dare. The path becomes clear only when you start moving. The 6th lesson. Fear is an invention of your mind. An ancient fable tells of a distant village where people lived in terror, of a beast that haunted the hills. They said it was enormous, with claws like blades and eyes that glowed in the dark. No one had ever seen it up close, but the stories lived on. If you wander past the hills at dusk, you'll never return. Out of fear, no one dared to cross those hills at night. Even when someone needed to get to the other side, to see a sick relative, to deliver something urgent, they waited until dawn. The thought of meeting the beast was enough to paralyze anyone. Until one night, a young traveler arrived. He heard the tales and became curious. How could a creature control so many lives without ever being seen? So that very night, as the village slept, he lit a torch and climbed the hills. His steps were slow, his breath heavy, but he kept moving. And then he saw it. In the distance, through the darkness, two glowing eyes stared at him. It was just as they said. There it was, the monster, watching from the shadows. His heart raced. His legs shook. He wanted to run, but didn't. He moved closer. Step by step, the eyes never blinked. He raised the torch and saw the truth. There was no beast. The eyes were two crystals on a rock, reflecting the moonlight. The silhouette, just a twisted tree trunk. He stood there, stunned by the absurdity. He thought of all the villagers who had lived in fear for generations, locked away, paralyzed by something that never existed. Was this it? Was this the beast that ruled their lives? It felt ridiculous, but terrifying at the same time. Because the beast wasn't real. But the fear was. And that's how fear works. My friend, it lives not outside, but inside your mind. It grows in the dark, fed by your imagination. It doesn't need to attack. It wins if it keeps you frozen. Marcus Aurelius said it best. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not from the thing itself, but from your judgment of it. And you can revoke that judgment at any moment. But that's hard to accept, isn't it? We tell ourselves, I'm not ready. I'll fail. I'm not enough. We see shadows and believe in monsters, but they're not real. They're excuses we've dressed up to look like danger. Have you ever woken up at night only to see strange shapes in the dark? You turn on the light, and it's just the curtains, a chair, a coat. No monster. But in the dark, your mind imagined the worst. Is someone there? Is something watching me? Your body tenses. Fear spikes. Then, the light reveals the truth. Just a coat on a chair. Fear isn't real until you decide it is. And the only way to break it is to move toward it. If every time you feel fear, you stop, you feed it. If every time you doubt, you avoid, you build your own prison, so do the opposite. When fear says you can't, act right away. Don't believe the stories your mind invents. Write your own ending. When the shadow seems too big, get closer. Look again. You'll see it's just a reflection of your own mind. Because in the end, like the fable says, the beast was never there. It was just your mind, playing pretend. And the chains holding that illusion, they've always been in your hands. The seventh lesson. Change hurts, but not changing hurts more. Change. It stings, but it transforms. Have you ever stayed too long in a place, knowing deep down it's not where you belong? Once upon a time, an aging eagle found itself at a crossroads. Its claws were weak, its beak curved downward, and its feathers had grown so heavy it could barely fly. It had two options: surrender to decline, or undergo a painful transformation. It chose the latter. It flew to the top of a high mountain and hid in a cave. There, it shattered its beak against the rocks and waited patiently for a new one to grow, sharper, stronger. With a new beak, it plucked out its old claws. When fresh claws emerged, it ripped away its heavy feathers, one by one. Months later, it stepped out of the cave, reborn, and soared higher than ever. The story is brutal, but the message is crystal clear. Change hurts. Leaving behind the familiar, letting go of what no longer serves, making space for something new. It's never easy. But what truly destroys us is not the pain of change. It's the agony of staying where we no longer belong. We cling to comfort, to routine, to the known, even if it suffocates us. Because change is scary. We tell ourselves, tomorrow, that now isn't the time. But the truth is, the perfect time never comes. Seneca warned us, while we waste our time doubting and postponing, life speeds on. So don't fight change. Fight the fear that stops you. Fight the voice that says you can't. Fight the version of you that accepts less than what you're capable of. How much longer will you postpone the life you actually want? It's like wearing shoes that are too small. At first, it's just uncomfortable. Then, it's unbearable. But you keep walking, because stopping to change them means effort, inconvenience, vulnerability. And without realizing it, you spend years limping in pain, when all you had to do was take the damn shoes off. That same pain shows up in relationships that don't work, in jobs you hate, in identities that no longer reflect you. You tell yourself change will be painful, but let's be honest. Staying where you are is worse. If you're overwhelmed by change, Alaric gives you 3 rules. Simple, essential. First, break something today. Not literally, but metaphorically. Break a habit. Break an excuse. Break a limiting belief. The version of you that you're becoming can't emerge if you're still clinging to the old. Second, do something uncomfortable. If easy worked, you'd already have the life you want. Dare to do what's difficult. Not because it's safe, but because that's where growth lives. And finally, decide before you feel ready. The perfect moment? It doesn't exist. Success is not for those who wait for clarity. It's for those who act despite the fog. So, tell Alaric, will you keep enduring the pain of staying where you don't belong? Or will you finally dare to change? The choice is yours. And my friend, I believe in you. The eighth lesson. Accept that no one is coming to save you. Look around you. Do you see anyone holding a sign that says, "I'm here to fix your life"? Number, and you won't back. Since childhood, we've been taught that if something goes wrong, someone else will come fix it. Parents, teachers, partners, governments. Look, it always seems like there's someone to lean on. But when life truly hits, you realize you're alone in that battle. It's a bitter pill, but it's necessary. Waiting for someone to rescue you only keeps you trapped, more dependent. It's like floating in the middle of the ocean, with no land in sight, waiting for a boat to magically appear. You can spend your whole life staring at the horizon, or you can start swimming. Do you think Epictetus sat around waiting for someone to hand him freedom? He was a slave. No rights, no chance, no reason to believe he could change his fate. But instead of surrendering, he trained his mind. He became stronger than his chains and went on to become one of the greatest philosophers in history. He accepted this truth. He was his only savior. The Stoics knew depending on others is a death sentence. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly. Look within. Within you is the fountain of good, and it will keep flowing if only you dig. But that's hard to swallow. We wait. We wait to be promoted without asking. We wait for love to find us while doing nothing. We wait for motivation to fall from the sky, like morning rain. But reality is harsh. No one's coming to push you. No one's going to do the work for you. And this, my friend, this is where the battle gets real. You versus the voice in your head, telling you you can't, telling you you're not enough, telling you to wait instead of act. If you keep waiting, how many more years will you waste? Think of a climber stuck halfway up a rock face. He can't wait for a ladder to appear. If he stalls too long, his strength fades, and he falls. His only move is to search for the next grip and pull himself upward. So stop waiting. No one's throwing you a rope. Save yourself. How? You don't have opportunities? Make them. No one's showing up at your door. With your dream job, knock on theirs. Learn. Ask. Move. Want that job? Send the resume. Want to start something new? Take one step today. Don't wait for permission. Be someone who moves. No support? Prove to yourself that you don't need it. Most great stories started alone. No help. No crowd. Just relentless drive. What about you? Will you keep complaining? Or will you prove to yourself that you can stand on your own? And don't say, "But I don't know where to start." If you're lost, pick a direction and start walking. There is no perfect plan. What matters is motion. You'll adjust along the way. But if you don't move, you stay stuck. My friend, listen to Alaric. When you finally accept that no one is coming to save you, you uncover something powerful. You never needed saving. The 9th lesson. Change complaining for responsibility. I know, complaining is easy. Better yet, it's free. It takes 0 effort. And for a few seconds, it makes you feel better. So complaining seems like the perfect ally, right? Number. The answer is no. Do you know why? Because there's one thing complaining will never do. It won't solve your problems. Think about it. Has anyone ever fixed their life just by complaining? Has anyone ever found success by saying, "It's not fair. Life treats me badly. I wish everything were different"? Alaric and you both know the answer. Complaining is a trap you build for yourself. A bottomless pit where you can spend years and still be in the same place. And the more you complain, the more you justify doing nothing. Because if it's someone else's fault, the system, the economy, bad luck, then there's nothing left for you to do, right? But here's the truth. No one owes you anything. Life doesn't guarantee success, recognition, or happiness. Whatever you achieve will happen because you took responsibility. Don't just listen to Alaric. Listen to Seneca. It is the mark of a fool to blame others for his misfortune. The one who begins to learn blames himself, but the wise man blames no one. And the problem isn't just the words you say. It's what those words do to you. You've seen it before. That person who always says, "Life never gives me a break. Nothing ever goes right. There's always something in my way." But of course, it's never their fault. They hate their job, but instead of looking for something better, they say, "The market is terrible. No one is hiring." They're in a toxic relationship, but stay because all couples have problems. They want change, but when you offer a solution, they say, "That's easy for you to say. My case is different." Ugh. You get the point, right? There's always an excuse, always an external reason why nothing improves. But you are not here for that. You're not here to watch life happen from the sidelines. You're here to take back control. The real difference between people who move forward and those who stay stuck, some take responsibility. Others just point fingers and hide. It's like being caught in a storm with a broken umbrella. You can spend hours cursing the rain, or you can go find shelter. Because the storm isn't going to stop just because you complain, but you can always do something about it. And the worst part about complaining? It makes you weak. It strips away your power to act. It convinces you that nothing's possible. But that's a lie. Hate your job? Then learn something new and find another. No one's going to hand you your dream position. Not in shape? Then move your body. Start training today. No excuses. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for motivation. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best, now. In a relationship that's destroying you, get out. It's not going to magically fix itself. My friend, it all comes down to one sentence. Take responsibility for yourself. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it takes time. But it's your life, and no one else is coming to fix it. So next time you feel the urge to complain, ask yourself, what can I do about this? If the answer is nothing, then accept it and move forward. If the answer is something, then do it. Even if it's hard, even if it's uncomfortable. Start right now. And if you refuse to act, then stop complaining. Because complaining without action is just wasted breath. Life is not going to change because you whine, because you shout, because you cry. It's only going to change when you decide to change. The 10th lesson. Be the person you would trust. Let Alaric tell you the story of two old friends, David and Lucas. They met in college. From day one, Lucas was the guy who lit up the room. Charismatic, full of ideas, always with big plans for the future. He had a knack for talking, could convince anyone of anything, and always seemed to see further than others. Brother, one day we'll build something big together. We have to, he would say every week. And for years, David listened, supported, believed, because Lucas had that contagious energy that made everything seem possible. But there was one problem. Lucas talked a lot, but did little. He pitched his first business idea, proposed a planning meeting, and then canceled last minute. I got swamped. We'll do it tomorrow. Spoiler, it never happened. Then came the dream trip across the ocean. Lucas promised. This time it's serious. But when it came time to plan, enthusiasm fizzled. Excuses multiplied. Years passed. Lucas called again. This time he had a surprise. David saw it coming, but Lucas's energy, this time it seemed real. So once again, he believed him. They were supposed to meet at a coffee shop. 8 a.m. By 8:30, it happened again. A message popped up. Brother, sorry, I'm not feeling well. Let's talk another day. David sighed, closed the chat, looked out the window. He wasn't angry. He was disappointed. Not because of some surprise, but because deep down, he realized he couldn't trust someone who never kept his word. Now, tell Alaric. That's easy to understand, right? When someone breaks their word over and over again, they lose your trust. So here's the question. Why don't you see it when you do it to yourself? If every time you make a promise to yourself, you break it, how can you trust yourself? If every time you say, "Today I'll go to the gym," and end the day with, "Well, it's late. Maybe tomorrow," do you really think that helps you? Would you tolerate that from a friend? Seneca said it best. Words teach, but examples draw. What do you think of the friend who always says they'll stop eating junk food, but always finds an excuse? Or the coworker who brags they'll do great things, but never lifts a finger? From the outside, it's obvious. They don't take themselves seriously. The question is, are you becoming one of them? This is where the real battle begins. It's important to keep promises to others, but even more important to keep them to yourself. Because when you keep breaking your word with excuses, when you expect results without paying the price, you lose the most valuable thing of all: self-trust. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Live it." Because trust in yourself isn't built through declarations. It's built through daily actions. It's like a ladder. Every promise you keep, one step up. Every one you break, 3 steps down. The only way to rise is to prove it with action. So here's a trick. Do what you say. No more excuses. No more tomorrow. If you decide something, follow through. Not for others, for yourself. Second key, face what's uncomfortable. Every time you run, your trust shrinks. But when you face it, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. And the best part? It doesn't matter if you fail. What matters is that you tried. And my friend, the path to confidence begins with ending self-betrayal. Talk to yourself the way you would to someone you respect. Act like the person you would trust with your life. Because if you don't trust yourself, it's because you've shown yourself that you can't. But here's the beauty. That can change. Start today. Be the person you'd bet everything on, without hesitation. Because once you do, there will be no goal you can't reach. My friend, the true battle was never against the world, against circumstances, or against others. It has always been you against yourself, against your doubts, your excuses, the version of you that wants to settle for less than you truly can be. Every choice you've made until now has shaped the person you are today. But every decision you make from this moment on will define who you become. Now, here's the question. Will you keep falling into the same traps? Letting your mind hold you back? Letting fear paralyze you? Letting inaction consume you? Or will you rise Will you take control? Will you prove to yourself that this time is different? If you've made it this far, comment the phrase, "I am my best ally," so Alaric knows exactly who the Stoic soul warriors are that made it to the very end. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video so you don't miss what's coming next. Additionally, Alaric invites you to explore our playlist that you'll see on screen. It's full of ideas, stories, and tools to help you face life with greater wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep growing together. Until our next talk, take care of yourself and keep embracing your inner Stoic.